Welcome everyone, glad you're here. As for today's figure review, we'll be looking at the Marvel Legends Gamerverse 2-pack featuring Wolverine and Silver Samurai. So to start off, here's the front of the box. We have the massive window here for the two figures. We have Wolverine versus Silver Samurai here down below, and at the lower left corner here, we have ages 4 and up. And at the upper right corner here, we have some warning for the choking hazard for small parts, not for children under 3 years old. And at the sides, we have Silver Samurai here. And at the other side, we have Wolverine. Down below, we have some labelings. And at the top, we have Marvel Gamerverse. And lastly, at the back, we have some promo arts for the two figures having a fight with their respective accessories, with their life bar here, and their tag teams. And at the upper part here, we have a small description. The mutant Wolverine unleashes his adamantium claws against martial arts master and foe to the X-Men, Silver Samurai. So that's for the whole box. So without further ado, let's open this up. Alright, now the figures out of the box. Let's start things off first with articulation. Let's begin with Silver Samurai first. So his head can move downwards, about that much. And it can move upwards, and not so much. It's only being restricted by his helmet here. But if you remove the head, it can go all the way back, like so. And same goes forward. But since there are restrictions, what can you do unless you modify it? It can wiggle, it can't really tilt, but it does go all the way if you rotate it. So that's for the head. And as for the arms, let's remove the shoulder pads first. Here's what it looks like. It does have a peg and a peg hole. His arms can move upwards, about that much. But if you rotate it, it can go all the way about that much. It does have bicep swivel and a double jointed elbow and a hinge on his hands. Here's what it looks like if you remove it. So that's for the arms and his hands. And his shoulder pads does actually move a bit. Can move it forward or backwards. As for his torso, his upper torso can arc back about that much. Let's spread the arms a bit so you can see better. About that much. And it can ab crunch about that much. As for his lower torso, it doesn't really, arc back or, ab crunch. And it doesn't really, tilt from side to side. Oh, I forgot about the upper torso. It can tilt from side to side, like so. And it can rotate all the way. Same goes for the lower torso. It can rotate all the way. So that's for the body, or the torso rather. As for his legs, this armor pieces doesn't restrict his movement, so you can pretty much move it anywhere you want. But as for his legs, it can move upwards about that much. It can move back, not so much, since it's being restricted by his hard butt. And he can do the splits, but that much. He does have, let me see here, a thigh swivel, so that's cool, and a double jointed knee. And he does have boot swivel, so can go all the way. And as for his feet, can go all the way up like that and downwards about that much. And lastly, he has ankle rocker. So that's for the articulation on Silver Samurai. Let's move on. Now for Wolverine's articulation, his head can move upwards about that much. It can move downwards about that much, but it can move like forward and backwards like so, because there's a lot of room in there. Here's what it looks like if you remove the head. So there's a ton of range when moving his head. Can be a bit of a sprinkle putting it back, but there you go. It can, like, you know, tilt from side to side, and it can rotate all the way. So that's for the head. His arms can move upwards about that much, but if you rotate it, there you go. He does have butterfly joints. And his shoulder pads here are actually attached between the pegs here. You can see that. It can, you know, like rotate, but not all the way. He does have a bicep swivel. And his elbow is only on a hinge. It's on a single jointed elbow, but his arms can rotate, so that's very cool. And his hands is on a hinge as well, like Silver Samurai. Here's what it looks like if you remove it. So that's for the hands and the arms. As for his body or his torso, his upper torso can arc back about that much. Let's spread his arms as well so you can see better. But it does leave a gap in here, and it can ab crunch very nicely. Again, a gap on the back. As for, oh right, it can also tilt from side to side, and it does rotate all the way. You can hear a clicking noise there. As for his lower torso, it can arc back about that much, and can ab crunch very nicely. And it can tilt only a little, and it can rotate all the way. So that's for the torso. As for his legs can move upwards about that much, can move backwards about that much. Again, it's being restricted by their hard butts. He does have a thigh swivel, and you can put it back in his proper position by looking at the line here, and he can do the splits like very nicely. A double jointed knee, very nice. He doesn't have, sadly, like boot swivel. I really wish he did. And his feet can move upwards about that much, and it can move downwards about that much. And lastly, he does have an ankle rocker, and underneath his feet are the pegs. So you know, you have a stand that has a peg on it, then you can put this guy in there. So that's for the articulation on both the figures. Let's move on. Next we have our accessories, but before we go to their respective accessories, here we have a cardboard cutout that you can remove from the box, that you can actually have as a background for them, or for any of your figures, that you can set it up like so. So that's pretty cool. So now let's go over to their respective accessories, starting with Silver Samurai. For Silver Samurai's first accessory, of course, we have his iconic samurai sword, or his katana. The Gamerverse version made this sword transparent blue instead of like the usual silver katana. The transparent blue here is more flexible compared to the handle, but the whole sword is pretty durable, so it won't break easily. So there's that. You can actually put that on the figure, of course, on any of his hands, like so. Pretty cool. Next, we have the lightning or the electric effect that can pair up mostly for the sword. I like the blue part here that transition to the purple one on the tips. Pretty cool. And the surefire way that I only know of that you can actually put the sword in are through these 3 holes that I'm showing right now, because if you put it on any other holes, then the sword will just tend to bend, and that doesn't look good. So that's for the electric effect. Pretty cool. And the last accessory for Silver Samurai, we have the shooting star or the shuriken. They made this transparent orange. It's pretty cool. It's pretty bendable as well, so it's pretty durable. It won't break easily. And here we have a peg hole, and that's for the stand for this shuriken. And here we have the base of the stand, and here we have the arm. And you just put it here on the base, and you can put this on the peg hole of the shooting star, like so. And there we have it. And here's a bonus part that I'd like to show you. He can actually hold this shooting star with his hands. You just have to remove this from the base like that. And let me borrow Silver Samurai here first. Let's remove the katana, and you just have to put the arm of the shuriken on his hands like so. Then you just try to hide the rest of it. Then you can actually peg the shuriken, so it gives the illusion like he's holding the shuriken. So there we go. Pretty cool, right? But yeah, let's move on to Wolverine. Alright, now that we're done with Silver Samurai's accessories, let's move on to Wolverine. The default hands that Wolverine has when you remove him from the box is actually the one with the claws. I just swapped out the fisted hands during the articulation purpose to have an easier time, but this is actually the claws that it comes out with as a default. It's pretty cool. Under the light, it looks metallic, but in person it actually looks more plasticky. So that's only my nitpick when you're looking at it in person, but with the right lighting, it actually looks metallic. Like, see the shimmering? I really do like the overly exaggerated size of it and the curved portion of it. So that's pretty cool. And actually, you can remove the individual claws if you wiggle it enough, like so. There we go. That's actually what the peg looks like, and this is the peg hole. So you can actually paint these individually if you want to have that more metallic effect. So there's that, and it's pretty easy to put it back on as well. It stays there pretty securely, so that's pretty cool. That's for the Wolverine's claws. And his other pair of hands is his fisted hands. It's pretty much the same without the claws, so there's that. And his last pair of accessories, we have the slashing effects. I do love the overall paint job on these effects. We have the blue here and like sky blue here, and the other parts are transparent white. It's pretty much just like in the game. And when you're trying to combine them, if like one side doesn't like, you know, budge in, then try a different approach, like so. Then that might be the correct way, yeah, of combining them. So that's pretty great. And when you're trying to separate them, I do like to, you know, push the peg underneath instead of like pulling it out. Otherwise, you know, you'll just apply pressure on the pegs and they'll just rip off. So you don't want to do that. So do take your time when pushing the pegs so it doesn't apply pressure to it. And you can actually do it like this as well. Same principle when, you know, pushing them together. Do try to find a correct way of combining them instead of like, you know, trying to force it in. So yeah, that's for the slashing effects. Here, let's combine them again. And here we have our two peg holes, and it's pretty much the same for the, you know, shuriken. We have the stand, we have the base of the stand, and the arm for it. It rotates as well, and you'll just have to put it on the peg hole, on any of the two peg holes. So there we have it, the slashing effects. So those are all for the accessories on these two figures. Let's move on. And as a bonus part for the accessories, I do have this old 1/12 scale Virgil sword. It has a sheath and the sword. I ordered this one a long time ago, and this fits very well with Silver Samurai. Since, you know, it's old, there's been like, you know, paint chipping on the sheath here, since it's being held by this figure, my custom Wonder Girl. Mostly like, you know, like put it here on her belt, but yeah. And as a freebie, when I ordered that Virgil sword, it came with this. Now this is, you know, more in line with what Silver Samurai has. It does have like this transparent blue and the sheath. It just doesn't have like the, you know, guard on the, like the one in the katana, and this is more straight compared to the, you know, curved. So yeah, this fits very well with Silver Samurai as well. So you can have like, you know, two swords on him, and it doesn't look, you know, awkward when he's not holding another, you know, another sword on his, you know, gripping hand. So there you have it, and the effect fell off, so here we go. So there you have it. And as for Wolverine, I specifically had a custom head built for him. This is actually by Dad's Bod Custom on Shopee. It's pretty much the AliExpress here in the Philippines. I don't know if he's available or she is available or in other countries like AliExpress, but this is specifically made for Marvel Legends, so it fits in the Marvel Legends Wolverine, and they did a pretty good job on, you know, I think this is 3D printed, since you can order like a unpainted head, but I did order the painted head since I don't know how to paint. So here's what it looks like underneath, and it fits Wolverine very well. Let's try to put it on him. Yeah, there we go. There we have it. My only problem with this one is, unlike the original head, it does have more space compared to this custom one. So you're gonna have to like finagle on how you want to position him, since it's being restricted by his hair and his, you know, jaw. So you might want to, you know, position it however you want. But yeah, that's for the custom head on this Wolverine. I really do like it, and whenever I have like, you know, other Marvel Legends Wolverine in the future, I might, you know, try to put this one on it. So yeah, that's for all the accessories on these two figures. Let's move on. And now it's time for some size comparisons, but as always, before I compare them to some of my other figures, I'd like to compare them to some common items that you can find on your house so that you can have like a general sense on how they scale compared to these items. So to start off, here's a marker and a pen. Here's a spoon and a fork. Here's 2 AA batteries. And lastly, here's a PlayStation 5 controller. Alright, let's get to the other figures. Firstly, here we have some of my Marvel figurines. And next here we have some DC figurines. And next after that, here we have some anime figurines. And the figurine after that, here we have some of my Street Fighter figurines. And last but not least, here are some of my 6-inch figurines. We have Chun-Li, Tsunade, and Cammy. Yeah, they're pretty big. Okay, overall this was a solid 2-pack figure released by Marvel Legends on their Gamerverse line. I think this is like their Wave 1. I'm really curious how, Wave 2 will look like, or what characters it might include. I'm really curious how, how their Hulk or Cyclops or Doctor Doom would look like. But yeah, hopefully that they'll release that announcement soon in the future. But my only gripe or nitpicks on these figurines is their lack of accessories. I really wish they've added like another pair of hand accessories for Wolverine, or maybe another head sculpt, especially for Silver Samurai here. He could have used another hand accessories so it could pair up well with the shuriken here. But yeah, their overall likeness from the game, they really nailed that part, especially Wolverine, and passable for Silver Samurai. But this is a good alternative of a Silver Samurai figure if you don't own the retro card. So yeah, here's that. But now, since at the time of the recording of these videos, there's been a recent announcement of a new Wolverine figure by SH Figuarts during the Tamashii Nations 2025 event. So there's pretty much a new contender or a rival for this guy. But that's good, since more Wolverines means more options for us consumers. So there's pick and choose on who you want as your definitive Wolverine. But yeah, in terms of the looks of that SHF Wolverine, I really like what they did with it. But he's lacking a bit of like the overly exaggerated fins on the mask and the boots. But you do know that in terms of accessories that he will nail that part, since it's pretty much a solo figure and not like a 2-pack. But there's like pros and cons on owning either this figure or the SHF Wolverine. With this one you get some accessories and a additional figure with Silver Samurai, but with the SHF Wolverine you get the figure and more accessories compared to this. So you gotta pick and choose who you want. But other than the lacking of the overly exaggerated parts on the SHF Wolverine, I'm still excited on what it would look like, because I think what they've announced during the Tamashii Nations 2025 event is still in this, it's still in its early stages, or it's pretty much just like a prototype. Because if you see his arm hair, it still looks like a bit like squiggly lines compared to this one, which it's more prominent. So yeah, and the claws on that figure, it's more akin to like this one, where it's straight and it's curved near the point. And as I show this figure, it's the exaggerated the lacking of exaggerated fins on the boots and the mask. It's pretty much just like the Mayfex or the CT Toys Wolverine. It's pretty much in the same height as this. So I hope that they make changes on the SHF Wolverine. So yeah, But I'm still excited to see what the final, product would look like. But yeah, that's all for the review, guys. I hope the information was valuable. I hope you learned any tidbits here and there. But yeah, that's it for the review, guys. See you on the next one. Happy collecting. See ya.